On with the show, not our only guest. We got one more to go, and we're going to welcome her to the stage, and that is Chari Hawkins. What is going
Hello.
on? How are
Hi.
you?
Hi, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks for having me.
We're just talking shoes up here.
I love it. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to talk about, honestly. I'm moving soon, and I have an extra bedroom, and so I've been thinking I'm literally going to try to get like an IKEA shelf and like put it across my entire wall and see. Like, it's actually insane and embarrassing how many shoes. It's not embarrassing. It's actually a point of pride with me, but I'm going to see. I really think I can make an entire wallpaper full of my shoes, which is like really fun. I'm excited about it.
Oh, we need to see the final product of
Oh
that
yeah,
when you're
we'll
done,
definitely
please.
be doing a live tour for sure.
Please,
Yes,
please.
100%, 100%.
It's great to see you here. You're a multi-event athlete
Yes.
at this specialty running event, which is like typically you're thinking about people going out, get some miles, running a 5K, running a marathon. You're not the only one that's a non-distance runner at this kind of event, but I'm just curious, what brought you here, and what have you experienced so far while at the running event?
Yeah, so I'm here with Brooks. Brooks has been my sponsor, especially when I was going through the Olympics, and so here with them, talking shoes, talking crap with Brandon, with Brandon and Josh, and I love hanging out with them. I said we were going on tour because we started in San Diego, we were there for the New York Marathon, and now we're here in Austin at TRE, and it's been really cool. It's been such a fun experience, and being able to hang out with the team. Like, Brooks is like family to me. Like, I just love them. I love everybody on the team, and it's been super cool. It's been really cool to see. Something I love so much about the running community is what it is a community, and running really brings people together in a way that sometimes track doesn't, because track can get so competitive, and it can get so like rah, like what's what's the best event, and I've seen that as a heptathlete, like, what's the best event? You know, everybody'd be like, oh, like, I was a thrower, and I was like, I always say, so am I. I'm a thrower. You didn't know that? It's crazy. But the running community, it's like, no matter how many miles you're running, you know, they want to hear about your run, and they want to congratulate you on your run, and maybe they want to join you on your run. And seeing all of the people here in that community is really cool. It's such a good vibe, for sure.
What has been your favorite part about TRE so far? These past 2 days.
So far, it was probably the interview with Josh and Brandon. I just love those guys. I love hanging out with them, and anytime that we can just hang out and just talk crap, it's really fun.
I'm glad you said that, because we had our team up here to start the show, and we were all talking about our favorite moments, and that was the moment I picked on.
Yeah.
I was there yesterday, and I was like, man, this group they either really love each other or really dislike each other, because they really are doing well with these jabs.
No, I love it. Actually, it's so funny because I was talking about it afterwards with a couple of people, and they were like, because Josh and I got like a super you know, this in New York too, which is so funny. And something about Josh is he doesn't drink caffeine at all. And so I was like, I had a Celsius, and I was like, oh, like, I'm gonna have the Celsius. He's like, oh, like, maybe I'll have some. And he had maybe half a can in New York, and he was just shaking. He was like, I'm vibrating right now. And it was so funny because it brought out a whole new Josh, and then it turned into this whole thing. So we got onto stage, and we automatically started just going at each other, and then we decided to give Brandon some too, who also doesn't drink caffeine. And so yeah, it was a good time for sure.
Yeah, you're just getting them going. I love it.
Yeah.
I want to ask a little bit about your athletic side, right? You know, I think you were done at the collegiate level in 2015,
Yeah.
right? And you're coming off of a great year this year in 24 at the Olympics, first Olympics. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But when I look back at your collegiate career, never won an NCAA title. I don't think even in what we would call the podium, right?
Sure.
But you stayed in the sport. I think since then you've made 3 world teams at least, an Olympic team now. And this is all, I guess, you know, you're talking 9 years after you graduated. What kept you in it, kept going, kept fighting to reach that Olympic moment that you were dreaming about?
That's a really good question, and it's something I love sharing because I wouldn't consider myself somebody who was born for this, right? Like, I wouldn't really say like Chari was going to be an Olympian at 16 years old, and that's why I love sharing my story, because I always say if I can do it, you can do it, kind of a thing. When I graduated, there was just something in me, like I had really bad anxiety, especially performance anxiety, to a space where I don't think I went through one heptathlon without having a full-blown panic attack. Can't talk, can't see, can't stop crying. It was actually really embarrassing. And so I knew I couldn't stop because I knew I hadn't reached my fullest potential yet. So I had a really amazing opportunity to go to the Santa Barbara Track Club, which at the time was for heptathletes and decathletes to help them in development. And that was when I made my first Thorpe Cup team. So when that happened, I went overseas and was able to get my master's degree, which was really fun. And when I came back, I had improved and gotten so much stronger overseas that it was just something I was like, I know I can do this. And it's funny because there was never like a flip switch, because there were always steps that I had to take to get all the way up to here. And so I can't really say that there was a moment, because everything built on top of one another. And it was just really like, what's the next thing that I can learn to reach my fullest potential? Okay, I did that. Now what's the next thing? And I think that hunger and that curiosity is really what kept me going. I ended up making 2 indoor world championship teams, 2 outdoor world championship team, and an Olympic team throughout that process. And I get asked all the time, how the heck do you keep getting better? Because I literally have PR'd almost every year since I began this sport, which is pretty cool. And my biggest thing is I stay healthy, I stay curious, and I stay hungry. And by hungry, it doesn't mean that I'm always filled with motivation. It's that I'm always filled with recommitment. When I commit to something, I lose a little bit of that fire all the time, actually. Like, that's super normal, and there's nothing wrong with you for not feeling motivated, not feeling like you can do it. But being able to be recommitted to the process, even when you're in that low, that's really the thing that kept me going over time, is just that recommitment, knowing that I really can do it.
So Chari, we all know how sports go and how most of it's mental more than anything. You mentioned in the Brooks panel yesterday that your therapist said to you, your best is good enough. So when did you really digest that information, and then it changed the trajectory of your mindset, then changing the trajectory of your career?
I think it's something I'm still learning, and I don't know if you guys ever feel this way when you're in this space of, I figured it out. Like it clicked.
Yeah.
You have an aha moment. You're like, this is just life now, and I've got it. And life is going to be amazing forever now. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have ever done that. But I do that all the time, where I get these little nuggets. They work, and I'm like, oh, crazy. The secret sauce has been revealed to me. Then 2 minutes later, I'm like, oh man, I'm having a hard day again. That is life. And we are always going to find this. And it's especially sports. It's especially athletics. It's our workout days. Like today, I'm not feeling the best. Tomorrow, I'm feeling better. And it's always going to be like that. And if we know that, we can ride the wave, you know? We need to learn how to be surfers of life. When things are a little bit low, we can ride it out and know that it's going to come back up. And when it's up, instead of being smug like I am sometimes, oh, wow, I figured it out. We can say oh my goodness, I'm so grateful that I'm feeling so good right now, and I'm going to enjoy and embrace every minute of it and take advantage of it as much as I can, knowing that it's not going to last forever, but knowing that I'm here and I can just be super grateful, so that when that drop inevitably comes, we know it's just part of life, and we always forget it. As soon as we're down here, we're like, dang, I messed it up, and we get up here, we're like, oh yeah, it was just a minute, but just trying to remember, there's never ever going to be an aha that lasts you forever, but making sure that you're always willing to ebb and flow with it is so big for me, at least. I don't know. What about for you guys?
I mean, I resonated very strongly with what you just said. I have a 2.5-year-old at home, and so I deal with that every day. It's
Yes.
right when my wife and I think we have something figured out, he wakes up the next day, and it's okay, back to the drawing board. So yes,
Yeah.
100%.
No, I love it. It's I feel like you can translate it into everything from parenting to sports to mental life to work to whatever. It's just it's so universal, and it goes across everything. Is one day your pantry's full and the next day it's not, and it's because we ate it. It's because it's part of life, and we have to fill our pantry up again, and it's just part of it.
No, for sure. I definitely resonate. I'm not a parent or an Olympian, but one thing about it is
You did go to Syracuse.
I
as we know.
did.
That's
I
fair.
did. Go Orange. But being in the sports media space, it can be so hard. It can be so cutthroat. It can be so unforgiving. I think especially as a woman, especially as a Black woman. So, you have those lows, but, I kind of learned how to sit in it because once upon a time, I was praying and begging to be in this space, even though, like, I'm sitting in this failure, just learning to love that failure so that you can appreciate the success so much more.
Can you think of like a time, like for me, I think about a time where I was so scared. It was actually right before the 800 at the Olympic trials. And I hadn't done very good 800s this year. And I was so fit, but I had still competed. And as soon as I felt like as soon as the gun got off, I just could not figure it out. It was bizarre. But as soon as I was in practice, all day, I could run whatever time you wanted me to run. But as soon as competition happened, something happened to me. So before the Olympic trials, 800, I was in such a stunning place, like ready to go. Like I was in striking distance for first in terms of points. I was only 6 points behind Anna Hall. Now it's Anna Hall, so let's hold our horses a little bit. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like realistically, I had such a good buffer. But I also had Michelle Atherley, who's an incredible 800 runner. And for me, I knew I was fit enough to do it. I knew it. But I was in this space of what if I mess it up? And I have done it before. I've messed it up. I've lost myself world medals before because of the 800. And I was so scared. I was like, I felt like I could taste blood because I was so scared, right? And I had to sit, like you said, sit in it. I had to sit in the possibility of me succeeding. I had to say, as scared as you are, as fearful as you are right now, you have to just sit here and imagine it going well, and you have to trust that you can. You have to hold space for your success. Like, do you ever feel like there are moments where you have to do that?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. There's times when, I honestly, right before I came to Flow, I was let go from ESPN. And I felt like my world was going to collide. I felt like everything was over. I felt like, oh my gosh. And then I got an email from my now manager, Dan, about a week later. And the process was about a week and a half. And now I'm here doing everything I love, learning, talking to you. I never thought I would be talking to you. 6 weeks ago, if you told me this was going to be happening, I would have been like, girl, please. But yeah, I mean, sitting in that failure really just made me recognize it, just cognizant of the fact that, it will be okay. It will be okay. I worked hard, tried to get over that imposter syndrome, but it will be okay. Trust yourself, trust in your abilities. That's what my mom always tells me, and she's like my biggest support system as well. So long-winded way of saying, yeah, definitely felt that way.
Yeah, we at the end of the day, even when we're down and we're at the bottom of the hill, we tumbled all the way down, and but it's like if we put one foot in front of the other, eventually we are gonna get to the top of the hill. Every hike you've ever gone on, if you stop, you don't get to the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you keep going, as much as your legs hurt and as much as oh gosh, hiking is brutal, but you keep doing it, you get to the top, you see that view, and you know it was all worth it at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Right, and there's a part of that hike where it's like, I've done all this work already. Why would I stop right now? Why would I stop? Because that means all this work I've done up to this point means nothing.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. It's so weird how hard it is to keep that mindset when you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
When you're not in the thick of it, I'm always just like, oh man, dang, why didn't I think about that when I was in the thick of it? You know what I mean? But now, when you're out of the thick of it, you have such clarity. And so that's why it's always nice to hear other people say it. I don't know if any viewers are going through anything tough right now, and then you hear, okay, today, what I decide to do right now is I decide to take 10 deep breaths, and I decide to do one thing that's going to get me onto the trajectory of where I want to go. Sometimes people need to hear us saying that right now.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever I'm in the thick of it and I feel like I can't, my sports site calls it
being
in the wilderness. You need clarity and you need a plan, right? And so sometimes the clarity that I need, I'll go on TED Talk, I'll download a couple audiobooks, because sometimes when you're in the thick of it, you can't do it yourself. You can't tell yourself the thing. You need to hear it from somebody else.
I want to ask you, we're talking about these moments, tough moments, and I want to drill in on Olympics with you real quick.
Yeah.
It's like this huge moment that you've worked for so long to get to talk about the trials, and obviously that 800 went well enough to
It did.
send you
I
to
got
Paris,
a personal
right?
best. It was pretty. It was
Yeah,
pretty
and I
special.
remember the tears in the stadium on the interview. I remember all of it. So it's such a special moment. You go to Paris. I think it was event number 2.
Yes.
No mark.
Yes.
And what stood out to me about that and about you is like, I've never seen a multi-event, a heptathlon, decathlon, where an athlete has no mark and then continues the competition. You did it at event 2. You kind of knew, hey, I'm definitely out of the medals at this
dead
point.
last.
Yeah, and you finished those 2 days.
Yeah.
What, like, talk to us about that moment and then that decision to keep going and not just kind of step away and say, I made it. And
Sure. So for anybody who doesn't understand what's happening, so the heptathlon is 7 different track and field events over 2 days, and the second event is the high jump. Now you get 3 attempts at every bar, and I want everybody to know that I have seen people no height before in high jump and been like, why didn't they just come in earlier? Like, what? Like, you should never height. And I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never no heighted in the high jump. The high jump is my best event by far. And a bar that I ended up coming in at, I have cleared that on a 3-step. It is a very easy bar for me, so just understand that. But at the end of the day, I was the one that no heighted at the Olympics. It was chaotic and crazy, but it was me who did it. And so when you no height and you don't clear the bar, you don't do it in that 3 attempts, you get 0 points. That means you essentially get dead last. So you can go home and you cannot come back and you can drop out because you're going to get dead last anyways, or you can keep going, finish, and then get dead last. And those are my options. How fun for me. But I also I recognized in both ways, good and bad, that I was on the Olympic stage. The bad news about that is I was on the Olympic stage and I was looking down the barrel of the gun at last place. And I was looking and there was Olympic rings everywhere, and I literally thought to myself, why is this happening? I've never been more prepared. This is my best event, and I'm in such a good spot. I was the happiest and most grateful I'd ever been to compete. I had no anxiety, only excitement. Like, why is this happening to me? And it literally, like, just put me into a whirlwind of hurt. But I also, something that a lot of people might not know is that it did take me 3 attempts. I'm 33 years old. I've been doing this for 20 years. And I've tried 3 different times, seriously trying to make this Olympic team and not making it, and being devastated that I didn't make the team. So it's kind of crazy when you really think about the fact that the girl who didn't make the team in 2021 and 2016 would have given just about anything to be on that stage at dead last at the Olympics. And anything. And I had to do it for her, you know? I also had almost 30 people come to watch me. And they didn't come to watch me to, like, stroke their own egos so they could be like, oh, yeah, we came to watch Chari and she medaled or whatever it was. They came because they've seen all the hard work I've put in through my entire career, and they wanted to celebrate me doing what I love, which is 7 different events. And I did it for them. And I also have a community of people who have been watching me tell them that it's more important to show up as your best self than it is to be at your best peak performance. And what a wonderful time for me to put my own theory to the test. Because I decided to go back out for each of the events, but I told myself, if I'm going to do this, if I'm actually going to do these 7 events, and I'm not going to come down and the girls that are all doing the same thing, trying to reach their dreams, I'm not going to be crying and sad for them and bring the vibe down. That's not my job. My job is to high-five them and make sure that they're PBing now, because their scores are so important. You know what I mean? It's my job to be, I love all of those girls, and I want to be the vibe queen of the day. You know what I mean? And I also wanted to show everybody that, like, you can do hard things. Like, you can do it with a broken heart. You can do it even when you don't want to do it. Keep fighting, keep going. And hey, I actually did really good. I'm not going to lie. There were a couple of events that I think the 800 was like my second best time in a decade. Wow. And I think that I got like the top 5 ever javelin performances. It was actually a great meet, a great day, and it was really rare to be able to grow as a person on an Olympic stage in front of the world. But I feel like I really did become like the next version of me, and I'm really honored. I don't know if I would ever choose that for myself again because that was really hard. But hearing, how my story has helped other people like push through. I even had somebody who had been going through like chemotherapy and like really just didn't want to do it anymore. They were just so sick. And they said that the next day they saw my video talking about my journey, and my caption had said, "You never know how strong you really are until you want to give up, and you choose to fight." And said, "Sorry, I'm going to cry right here on live." And she just said, like, you know what? Like, she's right. Like, I am strong, and I'm going to prove it right now. Sorry. And being able to have that story to share with people, it's really humbling, and I'm like, I don't know if I would ever like project and wish that on myself again, but looking back on it and the impact that it's had, I'm really grateful that that it was all able to do it, for sure.
That's extremely admirable, I must say. Like, wow. Like, your story has definitely helped me as well, because there's been many times when I thought that the world was just going to crumble beneath my feet. So, if that means anything. But I wanted to ask, you talked about your growth and your journey as an athlete. I hear word on the street you are training for a marathon.
Oh, gosh. Help me.
Talk about doing hard things. I like this.
Right.
Help.
So
I'm
how are we
scared.
about to pivot for that? Because that's not easy.
Yeah, so it's gonna be it was just an opportunity that presented itself to me, and I was like, at first I was like, oh no, thanks, have a good one. That would be because my body is, I am a sprinter, a jumper, and a thrower, and heavy on, like they always say run, jump, throw, but like the 800's a sprint. Like, we all know that. And so it's going to be such a challenge, because this is not something that my body is used to in the 20 years that I've been training. Like, so many people who are runners are like, oh my goodness, you're going to go like 2 hours. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go 2 hours. No, running 1 mile is brutal for me. So it's going to be such a challenge. I'm really excited about it. And I'm going to put one foot in front of the other, just like I do with everything else. And I'm excited to share the journey too, because like I said, if I can do it, you can do it. So hopefully I can inspire people to put on their running shoes and try running themselves, because I promise if I can run a marathon, you can do it. I promise.
When is this on the calendar?
So it's going to be the London Marathon that's coming up in April.
Ooh.
I like
Yes.
it. Go big or go home.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I want to comment on what you talked about with the Olympics. Amazing. I mean, just the thought of the two options. I can get dead last the easy way or get dead last the hard way. And
Sure.
picking the hard way and going through it and sharing that moment with the people that you're closest with, the people that follow you and look to you for inspiration. And I want to ask you about those people, because on Instagram alone, there's 1 million of them now.
Right.
You've hit that million milestone, which is huge. What has gotten you to engage so highly with that community that you've created, and how do you go about it? I mean, when you came on, I kind of wanted to call you Taylor Swift, Chari Hawkins, all these things.
Honored.
I mean, you have so much fun with what you do, but it's also educational, inspirational, and all that. So I'm just curious how that all fits into everything you do.
I actually remember when I first started social media, it was a way. I remember at the beginning I had like 600 followers, right? And I knew as the heptathlon, like a lot of people in the track world know that the track world isn't incredibly lucrative just doing track. So I remember being like, again, this is just me back in 2015. I was like, I am not good enough to get paid for just doing track, and I love it so much. I need to find a way to get a sponsor to help me just live while I'm working. So I need to like start growing my social media, and oh my goodness, I hated it. I hated social media. I hated the whole process. But then I decided, my coach told me that they wanted us to start doing training journals, and I was like, I don't want to write down my training journal, but what if I posted a video just because to my 600 people that follow me, like my family and a couple friends from college, and started just giving myself cues there. And so it started out, and people would be like, oh, hey, that's such a great cue, and I tried it. And then I'd be like, really? You tried it? Like, that's so cool. And what I realized is that I didn't hate social media at all, because I was seeing it as social media and not seeing it as like genuinely a connection and community, and being able to like hear people's stories from all over. And people started sharing tips to me and started taking my tips and sharing them with others. And something that I love doing, my dad's a basketball coach, my mom's a teacher. I love education. My master's is in education. I've been like kind of like a coach, you know, my whole life. You know, we always do like coaches clinics and stuff like that for my dad growing up. And so I've always loved teaching, and all of the learning that I'm doing every day in track, like how can I teach this to others and how can I share? And then honestly, some of my best cues have been from people in my community that have said, hey, your hips need to move forward, and it's going to allow you to use your hips more in your throw. And those things have helped me. I'm the opposite of somebody who's like, no, I have coaches. Like, no, tell me everything. I want to know everything. And being able to have that connection and that community. And I realize like that's what social media needs to be for me, is building connection and community with people, and like getting to know their stories and getting to know like why they tick and hearing why they work, because like the people in my community, they inspire me on the daily, and like I am like actually really close with a lot of them, and it's like so much fun to like I'm one of those people that like I want everybody to be my best friend. So like to be able to have like such an online community that's so supportive and so wonderful is just, I'm so honored. I don't take it lightly. And it's so much fun. I love it.
Nice. Shout out to the village.
Yes.
Are we new best friends? Are
Yes.
we? Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So
All right.
I've decided.
Well, it's an honor to have you up here and with us
you.
today. Know you got a little bit more to do while you're at TRE, some appearances to make, I'm sure. But we really appreciate you coming up here. Outside of marathon, anything else that we can look forward to? It's I know there's a World Year. Are we recovering from a marathon and getting on the track again, or where can we find you?
So I always say if there's going to be a Chari competing in 2028, there can't be a Chari competing in 2025, because you guys, the Olympics were traumatizing. Wonderful. Amazing. But even making the team, my body just was so nervous. I mean, it was I had it was a third strike and you're out type of a deal. And I think that like my body just needs some recovery. My nervous system needs some recovery. And something about me is I love what I do. I love the heptathlon. It is like going to a playground for me. And I need just like a little, I've never taken a year off before. And I need like time for it to be fun again, and I need it to be less like I've got to da. And so I'm really looking forward for this year to just like get the fun back into it, so that I can get back to the grind. And it's going to be just one wonderful year. I actually have written, have not published it yet, but a children's book. It's going to be, it's basically about my story, but just a little bit more like for children, talking about how it doesn't matter if you are the fastest or the strongest, but it matters how you show up for yourself and how you show up for the people around you.
Oh, I'm excited.
We'll be signing up. I told you. I got a young one at home, so we'll be looking for the story. So thanks again so much. We're looking forward to seeing you in London, and then what comes after that. So enjoy the rest of TRE, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.